Thank you for joining us for live paranormal radio. From the paranormal to the unexplained, it all happens here. It all happens here. Looking to enhance your radio experience? Participate in our live video chat 24/7 with our live paranormal radio show hosts and other like-minded people. Live. Paranormal.com, the only interactive social chat room supported by Full Interaction Media. Stop by now and join the fun. Stop by now and join the fun.
Good evening, guys. Good evening. It's Kim here joining you guys from Chicago. Believe it or not, I'm at the Sheraton in Chicago preparing for the Channeling Erik event this weekend. Hosting Channeling Erik radio show for you guys. All on my lonesome tonight. Elisa is off on an adventure with her husband, so it's just me tonight, guys. Just me and Erik. And we're going to bring some messages to you guys. Answer all your calls. We'll get to as many as we can. We've got an awesome show in store. But first, let's go ahead and give a big shout out to liveparanormal.com for hosting us. We wouldn't be able to bring Erik to you guys without liveparanormal.com, so we thank them. And I bet by now, if you're a brand new caller, you might just be asking yourself, well, who is Erik? So let me enlighten you. Erik is a young man, a spirit guide, who works with us light channelers here on the earth plane, and he guides so many to personal growth development. He's a spirit guide that helps many walk the walk of life a little bit easier, get through the journey of life without so much stress, without such difficulty. He has amazing advice, and he is absolutely life-changing. So hopefully you guys will tune in with us for the duration of the show, and he's got a pretty interesting topic for the night. As you guys know, he's pretty blunt and forward, and we're going to bring it to you just that way. We're going to go ahead and get started, and I'll jump in and take callers here in about 15 minutes or so, however long it takes Erik. But guys, don't forget, head over to channelingerik.com. Check out the blog. There are so many fantastic stories of life-changing interactions with Erik, life-changing encounters. So check out channelingerik.com. You can also go to channelingerikmediums.com and connect to Erik yourself. I myself am Kim Babcock, and you can find me at www.kimbabcock.net, traveling all around to bring some more Erikness to you guys through these events. So like I said, joining you from Chicago tonight and getting ready to put on the Chicago event here, Channeling Erik, tomorrow, Saturday and Sunday. So if you're still interested in a ticket, go ahead and jump on kimbabcock.net, buy your ticket, and we'll see you at the door. All right, enough of all of that, guys. Let's get to Erik. That way we can get to your questions. Like I said, it's my first time hosting the switchboard tonight, guys, so bear with me. If I have any tech issues, I will try my best to bring you guys on the air, answer your questions, channel Erik, and multitask. Bear with me. Here we go. Let's see what Erik has to say. For tonight's show, the topic that he chose, a couple different things he wants to talk about with you guys. He wants to address and sort of bring new perspective to you guys about your environment, your home, the toxicity of your environment, where that comes from, and even toxic relationships, how to get out of them, how to move on, how to heal, and so on. So in case you're wondering, again, I'm medium, Kim Babcock, channeling Erik for you. Erik, a spirit guide with lots of fun advice for tonight. So here we go. All right, guys. Erik says, first, I want to talk about your home. He says, the place you call your safe spot, most of you. Your home is your place of peace, or supposed to be, he says. But a lot of times, people don't realize what they do to their environment or what they have in their environment. He says, what I mean by that is energy. What is the energy of the space that you're in the most? What is that energy like? Whether you travel all the time and you're in a bus, or you're at home all the time, whether you work from home or you go to an office every day, what is the energy like of your environment? He says, think along the lines of psychometry with me for a moment. objects hold energy, right? He says. So think about what those objects and their energy fields can do to your space. For example, he says, I know a lot of you out there can't stand clutter, and clutter pisses you off. You better think about why it pisses you off, how it pisses you off, and so on. He says, if every time you walk by your clutter and you see it and you say, oh, damn, there's that clutter, and I'm frustrated that that clutter is there, you've just transferred that energy to those objects, which objects hold energy in a space. So if you're not using your intentions or any other methods to cleanse it, he says, think about what you're doing to your own environment. Most people don't even realize, he says, that they're contributing to the negativity or the toxicity of your environment. He says, let's use this other example. He's actually been referring to this a couple times this week. Let's say you walk by the coffee table and you stub your toe and you curse the coffee table. That darn coffee table, I can't believe I broke my toe on that piece of table. He's going on and on. But he says, now stop and think for a minute what you just did. You just sent all that negative, lower vibratory energy to that piece of furniture. That object can hold that energy. He says, mark my words, trust me, look it up. It's scientifically proven. He says, so think about if you're doing that anywhere in your home or even in your office. Oh, I hate this place, and here I am again. He says, if you constantly state that out loud and visit that vibration every time you're in that space, you begin to create that toxic environment for yourself. And then he says that can lead to even further problems that you don't want. Trust me. He says, what do I mean? He says, contribute to a lower vibration in that space, and low vibrations make it easier to manifest illness or things, other things of lower vibration. So again, he says, let's say you're going to your office, and every day you walk into your office, you think, oh, damn, I hate this place. If you're always giving that negative energy, he says you're probably going to be more likely to fall ill, to be unproductive, unhappy, foggy-minded, and so on while you're in that space, because you have contributed energetically so much negativity to that space. Same thing goes for people, he says, that continually wash a space. He goes, yep, that's right, I said the word wash. If you want to wash or clean your energy in your living room or clean the energy of the living room, again, it's all about the intentions that you put out, the energy, emotional vibrations, he says, that you put in that space. He says, look up feng shui masters. It's an art, and they have it down to a science. They know what they're doing. They know what they're talking about. But he also says it's important to be mindful of the energy you put into a space. So he says, even if you had a fight or an argument with somebody in a space in your kitchen, make sure after that is long over and done, make sure you go back in intentionally with your mind and clean that space. Wash that shit out of there, he says, because energy can become stagnant and it can also snowball. He says it can build. Again, if you come in the next day and you contribute. He says, be mindful of the energy you put into a space. And if you naturally walk into a space and feel like, ooh, I don't like the way this room feels, or I don't like with the resources that you have to cleanse the energy of that space too, whether it's the objects or just the space, the room in itself. He says you don't even have to have anything. It's about your intentions. But make sure you come from your heart focus and heart-centered awareness when you intend to clean a space energetically. He says you can clean from afar. You don't have to be in the space to cleanse it energetically, but it's important that you at least tune in from the heart-centered awareness to do so. So I kind of asked him, I said, well, what if in your environment that contribute to the negativity, how do you control that? Wouldn't it be like beating your head against the wall because somebody else is always contributing negative energy and maybe you have to live with them? He says, well, that's when you start working on the person and not the place. You start helping them however you can to shift their vibration in a positive way. So, and then if you're, he says, he's kind of joking around, but he says, then if you're effective there, then you can work on the space, but I would start with the person first. He also says, get real with yourself and ask yourself, if you know that they're contributing negativity, why are you still there? But that's a whole other can of worms. So, and then he also wanted to talk about sort of the similar concept, but with relationships. We all have them. We've all been through them, whether it's a friendship, a romantic relationship, maybe it's a relationship in your family, maybe it's a cousin, and the relationship is just toxic to you, to your happiness. What do you do? How do you get rid of it? How do you walk away from it? He says, first, by taking your own keys back, taking your own keys of your awareness, your happiness, taking control over that. He says you have to understand that you have control over your own happiness above all else. So if you're still upset, affected by the negativity of a relationship, you're still residing in that vibrational frequency with them. He says when you have achieved a higher place of awareness, higher consciousness, and that negativity no longer bothers you or affects you, you have begun to let go. He says it may not always be so easy just to let go. It's much easier said than done. He says, I know. And he's like rolling his eyes. He says, but if you, no matter what we're dealing with, if it's a relationship, if it's an event, no matter what we're dealing with, he says, you have to acknowledge it first, align with it, and accept it. Then you can release it. But if you sort of are in denial of and want to turn a blind eye or turn another cheek, he says, then you're sort of going to be stuck in that perpetual state. And also, he says, if you continue to think that you have to, and I know you guys have all heard this before, he says, if you think that you have to seek healing from a relationship, again, whether it's a friendship gone sour, a romantic relationship gone bad, no matter what it is, he says, if you care, he says, you can process the emotional awareness of that breakup, of that falling out. But if you are perpetually processing it, he says, give yourself time to grieve and then move forward. But if you can't move forward, you haven't understood your own ability to accept and allow healing, he says. As long as you think you have to seek outwardly for healing, whether it's through Reiki or anything else, he says you haven't completely understood the essence of your own being yet. Now, granted, he says, I know these might sound like fighting words. He says, because I know a lot of you guys are maybe Reiki practitioners or energy healers, whatever you call yourself, he says. But he says, don't you often tell your clients anyway that they have to accept the energy in order for your flowing, channeling energy to be healing to them anyway? So if you guys don't accept that in yourself first or can't outside because of a relationship and the damage that it's done, you haven't understood the complete essence of your being. You are completely capable of, and you have, and you encompass, and you embody everything you need to achieve what you want, no matter what it is in line with, whether it's career, relationship, personal, you encompass it all. Like you have to be willing to do the work, to dig inside your heart, and find that clean inner sacred space that is you, that is not defined by toxic space or toxic relationships. But it takes mindfulness, people, and it takes emotional honesty. He says you have to be with stability, and you also have to be mindful of your own actions and your intentions and your motivations. He says, check your motivations, people. He says, because if you're motivated by a bitter or sour disposition, or if you're motivated by anger, hatred, jealousy, he says you better just stop and start over. Because if that's why you're motivated, you'll continually experience those things. You'll experience things to be jealous of. If you're motivated by spite, you'll continually experience spite one way or another. So check your motivations too in order to truly let go of toxic relationships and cleanse toxic space. Check your motivations. Make sure you're coming from a place of love, self-love, self-help, and so on, so that you can truly let go of anything that may seem like it's contributing to your life in a negative way. He says, but I just want to remind you real quick again, guys, before we start taking callers. He says, be mindful of what you do to your space energetically. Your thoughts have so much power to create. He says, be very mindful of what you're thinking, because if you're running the sweeper and you're thinking, oh, my God, I hate this carpet, I hate this living room or whatever, he says, if you're constantly putting that energy out there, you are defining that space with that energy. If you go into your room and you always wish your room was a little bit bigger and you say, oh, I hate this room, it's so small, it's so cramped. He says you're defining that space again with that dense negative energy. He says, why do that to yourself? Why do that to your space? So be mindful, guys. Hopefully this information helps you. Hopefully you can start to be mindful that may, in a way that will help you change your thoughts and be more aware of what you're thinking and the way that those thoughts change the space that you spend the most time in. And even if it's a relationship, if a relationship goes sour, don't let it change your personal disposition. Dig deep and find that sacred inner space that nothing can affect, and stay there. Place your awareness there and detach from all the other contributors that may make you feel a little bit sour. He says, remember, nothing is going to upset you, poison you, or anything else unless you choose to host that. Anxiety would have no place to live if you didn't host it. If you didn't, relationships, nasty negative emotions from relationships would have no place to exist if we didn't give it life. So just think about that, he says. He says, now with that, I'm ready to take some callers' questions. So guys, before we do that, we're going to take a quick pause and say thank you. We're going to have some station identification with liveparanormal.com. If it wasn't for them, we would not be able to bring all of this channeling Erik business to you guys, and we wouldn't be able to take callers' questions and channel Erik for his wisdom and his guidance for you guys. So thank you, liveparanormal.com, for what you do for us. We're so grateful. All right, so we are going to bring on our first caller here. We have area code 252 coming on with us. Area code 252. Hi, how are you? Can you hear me?
No, well, I can hear you because I'm listening to the radio. Can you hear me?
Fantastic. Yes, ma'am. You are on the air with us. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
I'm Alexis. I'm calling from North Carolina.
Awesome, Alexis. What is your question for Erik?
Well, I'm getting ready to move into a new house, and I'm trying to think how I can, not take any negative energy there now. And I'm going to apologize to all my furniture tonight for blaming it for negative energy. But
Very interesting.
I guess, well, yeah, you stub your toe and, you say, damn bed rail, then I'm going to have to go in and apologize to the bed. But anyway, the first 60 years were, kind of an emotional roller coaster. In the middle of my 60s now, and now, I'm trying to get rid of the toxic relationships, and I think I'm doing pretty good. There's not a whole lot of people I talk to anymore. But now I'm suffering from all kinds of physical maladies, from a brain tumor to, it's a lot of pain. And I'm wondering if this isn't, an exit point.
Okay. This is what Erik says. He says, as you're talking, he's talking back to you, and he says that you're holding on to a lot of emotional awareness that is not of now, that is past emotional awareness. So if it's emotional awareness from when you're 15 and something devastating happened, and you still align with that emotional awareness, because you're carrying so much old baggage, basically is what he calls it, emotionally, that it's manifesting in multiple areas of the body and in multiple ways. Is your mobility affected? Are you limited somehow in your mobility?
No, I'm
okay.
clumsy.
Okay. The reason why I ask is because he shows a sense of stagnancy, so it could be a literal interpretation. It could also be symbolic. So symbolically what he's saying is, you're holding on to that stagnant energy from old emotional awareness. So think about what that means and work as hard as you can to release that. But what he also says to you is these are the special people, he says. He's talking about you, and he's like shouting through a megaphone because he's wanting other people to listen up. He says he's calling you a physical empath. I'm not sure if you've ever heard that term before.
No,
but
I know.
Physical empath. Okay, so basically, he says you're both. He says you're an emotional and physical empath. We all are to certain degrees, but when you're very sensitive like you are, the smallest things can affect you in the biggest ways. He said, so what I would do, he says, if I were you, first I would start working on cleansing my own aura of all the things that you host that may be or feel negative, whether it's, I'm going through this situation and it's rough and I don't like it. He says that is resistance. Anytime you resist what is, you bring yourself to a lower vibration, which in that lower vibration, there's much more possibility for illness or ailments to manifest, physical ailments. He says the higher your vibration, the harder it is because all of those illnesses are associated with your dense human vibration at a lower level. So the higher you can keep your spiritual vibration, the less, and this is you already know this, he says, the less manifestations of illness. But for you, it's truly about digging through old emotions, old emotional awareness, cutting those ties, getting rid of it, and letting go. And not resisting. He says accepting what is. So 2 things he's suggesting that you do in every way, shape, and form. He says replenish the health of the second chakra. That's where so the emotions that are there, he says, that's your emotional awareness, your emotional center. But he's also showing, I don't even know how well aware you are of the chakras, but he's showing cords going from the second chakra all the way up to the crown chakra. So you have emotional ties that are affecting your crown chakra, but that too is going to manifest in physical ways. So it could manifest into physical ways like affecting your cognition, memory, all sorts of things, eyesight, and so on and so on. So he's encouraging you. He says, call on Archangel Michael to help you. He says, you call on me too. He keeps tapping on his chest, says, call on me, I'll help. So it's like the invitation brings his consciousness and awareness to you so that he can help sort of just readjust, realign your awareness. He's like, I know you're capable. He's like, but it's just very strong attachments that you have. And he just keeps saying to old emotional awareness or emotional realities, of the past. But these are deeply rooted, so you're going to need a little assistance, he says, to help sort of clean up, readjust, and realign. So I hope that helps, Alexis, and I thank you so much for hanging out. I know you've been waiting for a long time, and I thank you so much for calling on. I hope this helps.
It does. Thank you so much.
Okay, best wishes on your move, too.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
All right, bye-bye.
All right, guys. We are going to go to the next caller here. Okay, let's see who we have coming on the line here. We have code 256. Hi, who's with us and where are you calling from?
Hi, this is Michelle from Huntsville, Alabama.
Awesome. Welcome to the show, Michelle. This is Kim here, hosting All by My Lonesome tonight. And what question do you have for Erik?
I'm hoping that Erik can bring my son and my husband's best friend through. My son committed suicide just like Erik did. And we just had the 1-year anniversary of his death. And my husband's best friend died the next day after the anniversary.
Oh, wow. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, it's been hard. But
I'm sure.
Well,
generally, go ahead.
I just found out recently that my husband just told me he was going to leave me. And it didn't make sense because we were in such a good place, or I thought we were, right before my son died. And I started kind of checking into things when he told me that and realized he was talking to a young girl that he worked with and texting with her and talking to her a lot. And he was telling her lies. He was telling her we'd been divorced a year. And, I mean, just everything that he told her was a lie. And she and I talked, and she said, I wasn't interested in him romantically and, all that. And she said, but I felt like he wanted it to go there.
Wow.
But what I can't understand is my husband has turned into a completely different person, and I know he carries guilt from my son's death. And he told me almost the same night that I found out about this girl that he told our son the night that he killed himself that he was going to leave. He didn't tell me. Like I said, I thought we were in a better place than we had been in a long time. And I always thought that I would be married to this man for the rest of my life. And he, after that phone call, talking to this girl, has completely cut me off. He's called me names that I've never heard come out of his mouth. He hit me, which he's not the kind of person who would ever do that. He's turning into a completely different person.
What Erik is saying, he's talking as you're talking, and there's a lot going on here. He says, and it's interesting, the topic of the show tonight and what you're going through. The show is about releasing toxic relationships and moving away from or cleansing toxic environments if you can. And so it's interesting that this is what you're experiencing. And Erik is saying that, first of all, he says the whole reason for the split even in personality is your husband carries a lot of anger. He just keeps repeating that very loud. He's very angry at himself. He's very angry at everybody around him. Erik says, I hate to call him out, but he's somebody who needs control, and he needs to engineer situations. He needs to create situations and sort of have control over the outcome and so on. He needs to be that one in control. And if he experiences something that is out of his control, he does not like change. Erik says he does not handle change at all.
That's him, exactly.
He says when people like this are forced to go through change, whether they can control it or not, you often see them change behaviors and personalities completely because they don't know how to adapt. It's not a part of their experience yet. He's saying it's not in their nature, but it's in our nature, but we haven't experienced it yet physically. So
right.
he makes me feel like that's why you're seeing a completely different person, because the loss of his son is something he could not control, and he's very angry that he couldn't control it, didn't control it, so on. He carries a lot of blame.
And he's
so
taking it out on me.
Right, and Erik says that's often what these types of people have to do. They have to project sort of their fallouts or their weaknesses onto other people. They have to blame. They cannot own responsibility because their consciousness is not that expanded yet. So it's not always, it's almost like a subconscious behavior. Like they're not, I mean, it may seem intentional, it may come across very intentional on their part, but he says in all reality it's just a level of expansion they haven't achieved yet to be able to own responsibility of their behavior.
Right, because this is not the man I've known for 23 years.
He says that he has like a disassociative, adaptive, he can't adapt, he can't. And then he also says like he needs to reassure himself that he can be in control of something or someone. So I feel like I don't think he was even serious about another relationship. It just seemed like he needed to create that to see if he could have control over a situation.
Someone else, yeah. And he's lying to her.
Erik says he's created a reality for himself that is disillusioned, but nonetheless there's value. He is experiencing certain emotions and realities for a reason, but Erik says if you're wise enough to acknowledge the negativity in it, the heartbreak, the deep emotions that it's causing you, he says if you can acknowledge it, be aware of how you let it affect you. You can acknowledge it, but you don't have to host it, because when you host it, then is when it makes you ill. So just be very mindful, he says. As far as bringing to your loved ones, I don't generally do that over the air because it takes so much time, and there's so many other callers on the line that I want to get to. But Erik says for your son, he says, sometimes Erik will sort of translate for them rather than bring them through. He says, if he can offer one message from your son, it is to tell you and his family that this is what I hear. Erik is like paraphrasing him or quoting him. There was never a shortfall. There was never a shortcoming from my family. This didn't happen because my family couldn't fulfill me. This happened because I did not understand myself. He says, I didn't understand me. He makes me feel like, Erik makes me feel like he was very ill, but I think very unaware, like just very confused about what he was going through in life, what he was feeling.
Right.
And I think the confusion sparked anger and frustration and sort of like a feeling of disappointed in self. Like he's disappointed with himself that he couldn't get himself to a place that he wanted to be emotionally and mentally. So I think that's why ultimately he lost his life in that way. But Erik says he wants you to know this didn't happen because you weren't a good enough mom, and his family wasn't good enough, and he didn't have a good enough life. He experienced a lot of confusion.
And then it wasn't his father's fault either.
Right. He doesn't blame anybody, and he says, I don't want you guys to blame yourself. He says, I want you to rest at night. And this is, again, Erik translating for him. He says, I want you guys to rest at night. I want you to rest and know that I'm at peace. And because of that, I want you to be at peace too. I truly hope that this helps you. And
what I wonder is, I thought I could love him through this, and I don't know. I mean, is there a chance that this can work out and that I can help him, or is this over?
Erik says, be mindful of the difference between helping someone and sacrificing your health for someone else. He says, this is what he's saying to you. He's encouraging you to listen to what you want for your heart. He says, in each and every moment when you feel hopeless and helpless, just remember, you're never helpless to yourself and for yourself. You can always help yourself. So carry that thought and remember that, because there's going to be times, I think you've probably already experienced, he says, where the husband doesn't want your help. I feel like he doesn't want help and support. It seems like he's pushing everybody away. He's in a place where he needs to be sort of alone, but also on top. I'm still very egocentric, and ego doesn't mean I'm the best. It doesn't always mean, I'm the greatest, I'm the best, look at me. It also means I doubt myself, and I have to reassure myself constantly. So he makes me feel like he's going to be in a place right now where he's very combative and just keeping people at a distance.
He is.
He says, take that distance as a blessing right now to heal yourself and allow yourself to go through, be in the now with it, he says.
Yeah,
so I hope this helps.
I feel like I've gotten through the loss of my son as best as you can, but
oh gosh,
I just like I said, I thought I'd be married to this man for the rest of my life, and if he was the same person before Hunter's death, and the person he's become now are just like two different people. And I don't know whether I should try to save this marriage, which I want to, but I don't know if he'll let me.
He just says his last little bit of advice here, and then we'll have to jump to another caller, but he says both parties have to be involved. If you're constantly giving and he's just constantly taking, it's never going to work. So he says, be aware of that. Be aware of that both parties have to want to make it work. So I thank you so much for calling, and I wish you all the best, okay? Take care.
Thank you so much.
You're so welcome. Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right, guys, let's all just gather a little bit here and send her some good thoughts, good prayers, good vibes. Hopefully everything works out for her. Real quick here, station identification. We are at liveparanormal.com with the Channeling Erik Hour of Enlightenment. So thank you guys so much for joining us. And thank you guys for hanging out on the line. I know you've been on hold forever. So here we go. Let's take the next caller. We have area code 262 joining us. Hi, what's your name and where are you calling from?
Hi, my name is Marla, and I'm calling from Wisconsin.
Awesome, Marla. Thanks so much for calling and for hanging out. You've been on hold forever. We're running out of time here, but do you have a quick question for Erik?
I do, and first, lots of love to the previous caller. I just wanted to ask if Erik can provide any guidance on how to tap into my higher self and guides. I just feel like I've lost that connection, and I feel like I'm in a space that I need to move away from and just make my life better. And I just feel like I'm really done with the old and trying to move forward into the new, but every step I take and everywhere I look seems to be just like the old. So any advice would be great.
Yeah, it's a great question. I love when people ask this because he always, he never ceases to amaze me. He says first to remind you that it's never, so your higher self is never something to reach outwardly for and to seek, to look for. Rather, it's letting go of old attachments, old ideas, old self to sort of naturally fall into your highest place of awareness or your highest. He says, think of it as more of an observer's standpoint, the taking the view and the perspective of the observer, even observing self as Marla. What will Marla do in this situation? You know, if I were observing from my highest perspective that I can, it would be, how's Kim going to react to this situation? How's Kim going to handle? So it's sort of in that place, you're less reactive emotionally. You're less ruled by your emotions and more aligned vibrationally with love, with the purest of the pure vibrations. So for you, he says, he's kind of laughing. He says, what you are seeking, you already are. He says, oftentimes when we're seeking, we're operating from almost like an unconscious level or an unawakened level. He says, because no matter what you're seeking, okay, try to follow me here because this is a little deep and a little wordy. He says, what you're seeking, you are seeking it in the awareness of it already. So if you are seeking connection to highest self, you already are connecting to highest self because the awareness is already there. For example, you can't look for something that you're unaware of, that you're completely ignorant to or unaware of. It would be impossible. It's like someone telling you to go find Bob Johnson and you've never met him, you don't know where to find him, you're unaware. It's impossible. But what you are seeking, you already are. You already have that awareness. Now it's a matter of, he says, when you want to let go of old, kind of like what we were talking about before, even if it's not toxic, if it's just the old you and letting the new you surface, remember not to resist. Because if you resist, you become. Ooh, that's interesting. He says, like, for example, if your old habits were, if you're always resisting, a certain thought process, you become it. You become it because you're resisting it. You're putting energy and awareness to it. So it's a matter of surrender, just accepting, acknowledging, surrendering. That's how you let go and move forward, is you surrender to something. You truly accept it, whether you like it or not. You don't even align with your emotions at this point, he says. Let's say, for example, we're talking about divorce. He says, if you resist it and you're always emotionally distraught and I can't believe this is my life and I can't believe this is happening, he says, and you're resisting it emotionally, you are still becoming it. He says, do you see what I mean? Someone can completely change their life based on their own, I don't want to say self-pity, but that's what he's giving me vibrationally. Please don't take offense to that, you guys. But it's almost like when people, start to say, I can't believe myself, I can't believe that this is my life and this is what's happening. But if you resist it emotionally, you're actually becoming more and more of it. So rather, surrender, accept it. This is what is happening. Now I know, he says, this is a lot easier said than done. But when you place your awareness into the now and you accept the now, you surrender everything else. He says, oh, this is interesting. And bear with me because here comes the cuss words. He likes to cuss, and you guys know that. He says, body, mind, and spirit all have to be on the same page. If they're not, he says, how fucked up is that you're asking yourself to be somewhere that you can't be? He says, listen to me, people. Your body can only be in the now. Your physical body cannot be in the future and cannot be in the past. Your body can only be in the now. So when you put your mind and even your spirit, your emotional awareness, into the future or into the past, now you're coming out of alignment with your body. If body, mind, and spirit aren't all aligned, he says you're really, he says you're asking for a clusterfuck of an experience. So work on collecting body, mind, and spirit all into the now, and you'll give yourself the best opportunity to be more connected to highest self, and also letting go of the past and not hosting anxieties that we anticipate for the future. So hopefully that helps. I know that, sometimes the cuss words just fly, but that's who he is. But hopefully that answers your question. And I thank you so much for calling. And I know you were on hold forever. So thank you so much for staying with us.
Thank you very much.
You're so welcome. Take care. All right, guys, we are going to go over to area code 502. Who do we have on the line? Area code 502. Where are you calling and what's your name? Where are you calling from?
This is Jennifer. I'm from Georgetown, Kentucky.
Welcome,
thank you.
Jennifer.
Yeah, I really appreciate everything that you and Erik do to bring awareness and love. I was wondering too. I know this is kind of off topic for what was going tonight, but I've been reading a lot about the question about whether people with the negative blood type, whether they're actually ET origin or is it something else? And
that's a neat question.
And also, I was wondering too. About which would be the. I've been trying to do a lot of soul searching on my job, on a career path and everything, and what would be the best. What he sees me getting into as far as a good career path.
Okay. First off, he says about the negative blood type. This is a really interesting question. He says he makes me feel like this is a new vibration, a new vibrational frequency incarnating to bring awareness. So I feel like he's leaning towards a yes to your question about, is this like an ET type? He's leaning towards a yes, and I guess he would classify it as ET because it's just the different type. It's a unique vibration incarnating. He says, remember, we all come from the one source, no matter what it is. If it has life, if it has life force, we all come from the same source, but there are many different species, variations, blah, blah, blah. This is a new, very unique vibration. So if we were to actually get the tools out, he says, and test the vibration of the people that host his blood types, because I think you might be surprised and interested at that level too. Now, as far as a career path, he says as far as a career path, I don't know how much you work right now, if it's full-time or part-time or retired, whatever it may be. He's showing you actually taking a lot of time for yourself. So if it's like your full-time, it would look like he's encouraging you to decrease that a little bit. He actually shows you, this might sound really strange, but I see you doing like, bear with me, it looks like landscape. It looks like gardening and landscape. He says, you're very good with people. You're very soft and easy to talk to. But he says that you also enjoy being outdoors, or rather it would be fulfilling for you to work outdoors. But I don't feel like this is like hardcore landscape, for big companies and things. It just seems on a little bit smaller scale, something that you can manage, but he shows a lot of fulfillment coming from that because of the creative nature behind it. So I hope that direction helps. We're going to jump right to the next caller so we can get one more caller in before the show closes. But I thank you so much for hanging out with us and staying on hold. I know you waited a long time, Jennifer, and I thank you so much. I hope you have a wonderful night.
You too.
You're welcome. Okay, guys, we are winding down here. And on the line with us, we have area code 519. What is your name and where are you calling from?
Leah.
That's you.
Oh, okay. That's Leah. Okay. I'm the one who posted on your Facebook and stuff like that today and promoted your thing. I'm Leah.
Oh, cool.
Can you hear me? Yeah. And I was like, okay, so I just have to tell you that I was like, okay, I'm going to call into the show and I'm going to meditate first and I'm going to ask Erik to let Kim get my 519. So I can't believe it worked. I feel like I manifested this phone call. Anyways, I told all my friends that I was going to be on show. And I didn't even know if I was. But anyways, I know this is really like the last one, but I just want to tell you I love the show. I love everything about it. And I tell and I share. It's changed my life because literally 2 years ago I was depressed, and since I've been following channeling Erik, changed everything. And so because of channeling Erik, I went to a medium and my dad who passed away, like I had childhood issues that I didn't get by, and he actually came through and he apologized, and it like totally changed me. Now tomorrow I'm going to go to my first past life hypnosis, and then I just can't believe that I got through on the phone. And I just been meditating for often, and I always put Erik in my meditation. So like when I learn to, like, you go up and you say thank you, thank you, thank you, I always put Erik there in my imagination. I don't know if he's actually there, but I said, okay, well, I'm just going to say thank you, Erik, every single time I meditate, and talk to him as if like he's there. So I don't know if he's there, but I would totally love.
He says,
to,
"What do you mean?" He's like, "What do you mean you don't know if I'm there?"
I just I think that I think he is.
Oh yeah. Oh, for sure. He says if you can imagine it, if you can visualize it, you can manifest it. So even if it's
cool.
Holding vision of me saying in your thing, saying thank you, placing me there too, because you're manifesting that connection yourself. He says, so don't thank me, thank yourself. So it's really cool there.
And I got pranked too
Awesome.
one time. I was like, and I got posted on the channeling Erik as one of the people, like as a people writing into the blog, and he pranked me because he talked to. I was watching one of the ones that they were talking about pranking, and he pranked Jamie's phone, and it went to Siri, and I was like, oh, I wish that he could do my phone and prank me, and my Siri went off, and I was like totally freaked out, and so I just want to say,
like, funny.
Yeah, so I'm super excited, and I just have a question because I'm writing a book, and I'm thinking it's my life purpose to like write this book about like my childhood and my experiences in life as a life journey. And a medium or a psychic told me like that she sees me like writing the book, inspiring people, and helping young people, maybe being like a life coach later on. And I'm kind of like would love to hear like his thoughts on my life purpose.
Yeah, that's interesting because when you started talking about your book and what, like, the effect that it will have on people, he says it is going to be able to teach people to be self-directed and, like, personal empowerment. So
that's what I wanted to do.
Yeah, he says that not only the text in the book, but the way you share the book, the way you present the book, is also going to teach people personal empowerment, no matter what their age is. So he says, don't give up, don't stop, keep writing.
It's hard.
So fantastic.
It's really, really hard because literally, like, I literally had to go back into some of my childhood and, you know, some of the sadness that I've had, and it's been really hard. I've been bringing all that stuff up, but I just want to also cleanse myself from it so I can help other people. So
and
also,
he says that's the most. He says revisiting it is the most healing way to work through it. So I thank you so much for calling. We are already 5 minutes over time.
Okay.
But thank you so much for hanging out with us, and I wish you the best with that book. I really do.
Yay. Thank you. Thank you.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye. All right, guys, we got to close the show. We got a show lined up right behind us. Some other peeps and on here hosting their own show, and we don't want to interrupt them. But we want to give a big shout-out to liveparanormal.com once again for hosting us here, the Channeling Erik live on paranormal.com. So thank you guys so much for allowing us this wonderful platform. Also, guys, head on over to my website at kimbabcock.net and purchase your ticket. We will be seeing you in Sedona, Oahu, and other cities coming up. So please join us. Also, check out channelingerik.com. We love you guys. We thank you so much. And until next time, take care. Bye-bye, guys.